Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Magic Kings podcast with the great big beautiful dads. It's Steve, travel agent with Just Add Magic Travel. I'm here with none other than Magic Mike. How we doing, Mike?
Doing great, Steve. We're back. We've got some awesome guests today.
We do. We have a guest who's familiar to loyal listeners to this podcast. Also, Steve is here tonight. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, please. Thanks for coming. And we are so excited to have a very, very special guest from the Disney World is Awesome podcast, which is, can I say it's my favorite podcast when I have a podcast? I don't know. I'll say it, but it is the legendary Sometimes Ben. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thanks for calling me legendary. I am not, but I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot.
You're a legend to us. You're a legend in our hearts, Ben. We are... We're just so excited to have you here. I know I am, and Mike and Steve. And for those who don't listen to the Disney World is Awesome podcast, it might bear a little resemblance to this one. They're three dads who talk about Disney World, and Ben is sometimes the fourth dad who joins them. And it is a weekly podcast that is just awesome, much like Disney World. So we have a very special topic tonight, and I thought, Ben, of having you on because we usually talk about Disney World, but we talk about some other things. And what we're talking about tonight is Universal, which is a place that you enjoy, that you've been to many times. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I'm not allowed to talk about it normally on Disney World is Awesome. So when you sent me the message and said we get to talk about Universal Studios, my interest was piqued immediately.
Well, that's great. Yeah, no, I know that it's referred to often on that podcast as like the park not to be named, kind of like Voldemort, previewing what we're getting into a little bit. But we're very happy to talk about it. But Mike and Steve, and don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I do want to say, Mike and Steve, have you guys been to Universal? I know, Mike, you said you haven't, right?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I've been exclusively Disney. So I've been a loyal Disney dad for quite a while now.
Okay.
Essentially the same for me. I've been once when I was 3, so I don't have a memory of it.
Okay. Wow.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but why haven't you guys? I'm curious.
That's a great question. My older kids are big Harry Potter fans, so we had talked about it, and I briefly lived in Florida for a couple years. And when we were down there, we had annual passes for Disney, and we were just like, you know what, let's just go, over to Disney, not pay the extra. And we just never did it. But it was something that we had talked about doing. And then Steve and I have talked about, his trip down there a couple times. And that's kind of made me want to set up some time to check it out, especially the new Epic Universe, the extra Harry Potter stuff, the Ministry of Magic, and all that. So, there's definitely interest there. I'm not afraid of it. It just, we never really got around to go.
I'm glad you're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I know, Steve, you're just a tough customer. You don't want to, change your ways. And so that's probably
my creature habit. It's fair to say. I like going in the bubble, and I don't rent a car when I'm down there, so I'm usually just staying on property. But I do have interest. I do like Jurassic Park. So the Epic looks really cool. That doesn't pique my interest as much, but I'm open to going someday.
Yeah, it can feel awkward if you're on Disney property and you're thinking about heading over there, getting outside the bubble. It can feel a little bit weird. And a lot of times I'm like, I'm going to let my Disney trips be my Disney trips and my Universal trips be my Universal trips. But we have done kind of a split thing before. But I tend to like to be purely in one or the other personally. So I get it.
Yeah, that is a good way to do it, to be in each bubble. There's less of a bubble at Universal, which we'll get to, but it makes a lot of sense to do it that way. But I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, not to stop our momentum here on Universal. But Ben, if you've listened to this podcast, you may know what's coming. But we're going to put you on the hot seat a little bit with all of our new guests. We put them through, because we still have to talk Disney while you're here.
Absolutely.
So we put you through a lightning lane round of questions just to get a sense. And for those who listen to the Disney World is Awesome podcast, they'll probably know a lot of these things, but not some of them. But just some questions about where you are with Disney. I think we'll kind of rotate around and each kind of ask a couple of the questions. But I want to start with probably the hardest question, which is, how many times have you been to Walt Disney World?
Oh, gee. I went a couple times as a kid, and then I didn't make it back until 2015, and I talked my wife into going, and she was like, really? Like, just you, the two of us, we're going to Disney World? Like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I think it'll be great. So that was the third time, and then she fell in love with it, which really opened up the doors, right, to get to go a little bit more. And then it has like, it's increased exponentially. That was the word I was looking for. Then into the past few years where I've gone multiple times a year. So I'm not answering your question. I can try, but it's in the teens, I would say.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. Yeah, that's good. For several of our guests, that has been the hardest question. They're just like, I don't know. It's just too many times.
A few years ago, it would have been easier.
Yeah.
But I've made it down there a lot for various reasons the past few years.
Yes, totally. Mike, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, you kind of mentioned this. You went a few times when you were younger, but how old were you when you first went, or when you first remember going to Disney World?
I only went once with my family, and I was probably in 7th grade, somewhere around there. And it's funny when people mention like, hey, do you think my kid's too old to go at this point? Or like, I want to take him down before. The funny thing is when I went down as a 7th grader, some people might have been like, he's probably past like peak. I just fell in love with it hard. Like, I did not want to come home. I'm like, I'm moving down here. I'm going to work here someday. I'm going to hide from my parents so they can't take me back. And I just fell in love with it. And then the second time, I was a teenager and actually went down with a marching band with my school. And we marched down Main Street and played Pirates of the Caribbean. And we got to go to spend a little bit of time at Magic Kingdom and Epcot on that trip, and at Universal Studios with the band. So that was my second time as a teenager. And that was kind of fun in its own way because it was just a bunch of friends hanging out. And so I loved it both times.
Do they ever do that anymore with the marching bands, like down Main Street? I never.
That's a
have
good
seen
question.
That.
I'm trying to remember if I've seen a high school band marching down Main Street in all the times I've been there recently. I can't say that I have.
That's like an incredible opportunity. Yeah, they should bring that back if it's gone away. But
it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, Steve, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. And actually, I just want to say, kind of in the same boat. I know it's not about me today with Lightning Lane questions, but I was 3 when I went to Universal. I also went to Disney, but no memories of that really. But I went back in middle school, and I remember it became my whole world. For a short time, I kind of fell out of it again. I went back in 2015 with friends of ours, and then it sparked again. But it's funny, it's the same arc. But I'm going to ask the question that I failed on my first show. Who's your character on the My Disney Experience app, if you know?
Yeah, I've always been a Mickey of some variety. I think I just see myself as the leader of whatever group I'm going down with, if it's my family or some extended family. So it just feels like I have to kind of be Mickey Mouse to the group. And so I've just always picked that.
That's a very thoughtful answer. I like that. That's great.
Leader of the club, right?
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right. The leader of the club. That's right. All right. So I have another tough one for you. So you have to pick one, your favorite ride.
At Disney World?
At Disney World, yeah.
Or in the world. Disney World.
Let's go with that. Yeah,
It would be at Disney World probably. Although Universal.
That was my follow-up,
They got some good rides. Man, it's been Flight of Passage. I just love how the first time I rode it, I was just so bought in on that. Just the way it transports you to another world. And I remember the first time I rode it, part of the reason it struck me was because I remember after the thing opens up and you're looking at the screen, you can look around and you can see everybody else that's experiencing the ride too. And I remember just seeing the look on everyone's faces. And it's like, no matter where you were coming from or what you had going on that day in that moment, everybody had this just incredible, like, they were just letting themselves go in the moment, and smiles and laughing and whooping. And it was just cool to see how everything gets set aside while you're on that ride.
That's amazing. I love that.
That's our first person that's picked an Animal Kingdom ride, I think.
There's not a lot to choose from, but
Yeah.
Flight of Passage is a good one there.
Yeah. That's a great ride. Yeah. All right. Next on the question list, favorite show.
It includes fireworks, parades, anything.
Well, it'd be pretty easy then just to go with like Happily Ever After but granted, you know what? I'm going to go Epcot. The first couple times I went to Epcot as a younger person, I think it was Illuminations. And I remember that I really liked that with the lasers and the fireworks and like sort of the messaging of it. I thought it was really cool the way all like the countries light up. And now they're doing Luminous, which is also just a great production. So I'll go Luminous.
Okay. You're not the first person who said Luminous. Luminous is a fantastic show. So I respect on that one. That's great. All right, Steve, you want to go next?
Yeah. What is your favorite park? I know this one can be kind of tough.
Yeah. I've referred to Epcot as my home park. So Magic Kingdom has sort of that just like quintessential Disney feel. So again, it's easy to go Magic Kingdom, but the park that I like to sort of come home to is Epcot. That's where I feel like I can sort of sit down and just really enjoy the ambiance. It's spacious. I love just kind of perusing the countries and the shops and the food. And I love what they've done with the main area now behind Spaceship Earth. There's just so much seating. So I've sat there with friends and just had great conversation. And so Epcot's, I would say, my home park and overall my favorite park.
It's awesome. Now, have you ever well, no, we'll get to that. I was going to say, have you ever tried the fish and chips? That's Mike's thing. But I'll let Mike talk about that. But up next is your favorite resort that you've stayed at?
Kind of along those lines, I would probably go Yacht Club. I wasn't sure the first time I stayed there because some of the deluxe resorts have these just like grand lobbies. And it's like, oh, you really feel like you're getting something for your money. Right. If you've got just this huge, iconic, like walking into the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian or even the Contemporary. And so then walking into the Yacht Club or the Beach Club, it's like a little bit understated in a way. It's like very, very nice and classy. But I've really come to enjoy the smallness of it because it feels a little bit quieter. They have the best pool on property as well. And again, since I love Epcot so much, to be able to just walk over the hill and be in Epcot and eating fish and chips with Magic Mike, I mean, you're good to go.
Amen.
Yeah, you're speaking these guys' language. That Beach Club and Yacht Club is in the Epcot area resorts is definitely the favorite on this podcast for sure. So that makes a lot of sense. That's great.
Yeah, I stayed at Beach Club my last trip for the first time, for the first time, and then stayed at Polynesia for the first time, and I much preferred Beach Club. Just it's very laid back.
Yep, and I've come to appreciate that more and more. The more that I've gone down there, I'm starting to look more for that relaxing trip. If we were just like go at Magic Kingdom, it's super nice being on a monorail resort, but I just love kind of strolling into Epcot like I own the place.
Yeah, right. I know Epcot's in your neighborhood. There's something so like unbelievable about that, about those resorts for sure.
All right. Favorite restaurant, Ben? Could be in park, in resort, anywhere in the bubble.
Okay, now I'm going to get decision paralysis here. That's a
this
lot.
This is the toughest question for like 90% of people, by the way.
Yeah, and if you know me, like I have such a hard time picking favorites of anything in my life, so I'm like really powering through here for you guys, but that's a lot of restaurants.
Appreciate
it. Let's go.
Tell us your thought process. What are you between? What are the restaurants you're thinking about?
I'm going between parks and resorts in my head. I'm probably going to land in a resort. I'm thinking, or no, you know what? I'm going to go to Epcot because I'm just going to stay with my theme for this conversation, which is Epcot themed. Nicole, my wife, and I had a really nice meal, and what's the name of it? The Italian restaurant. There's several in Italy, but
Tutto.
Yes.
No? Yeah.
Yeah. We had just
pick.
a really nice time there. It's not like this exaggerated theming or anything like that, but it just feels like this nice, authentic Italian place. And of course, Epcot's so fun when you have people from the place working there. And so like I asked the guy that was serving us, I'm like, hey, what's like some more authentic Italian food on this menu versus like more Americanized options? And he gave us some recommendations based on that. And we just had a really nice time there, and it was really good food.
That's awesome. That's a great pick.
That's a great spot. Yeah, good pick. What was your resort pick? Just now I'm curious because I want to know.
I could say mini. I'm going to go, okay, you want to know the one that I frequented the most, considering I've never stayed there before, is Captain Cook's at the Polynesian.
Oh, there you go.
Which is just a quick serve. But like, I have gone to the Polynesian so many times and eaten there. I've never stayed there at the Polynesian. I've just visited. I'll eat at Captain Cook's. I get like, what is it? It's like a coconut meatball rice bowl or something. And we just sit on the beach and like, yeah, it's awesome. So I'm just going to go there. That's just kind of a random pick, but
that's awesome.
I'm going to own it.
I love it. No, you're doing it right. If you're getting those meatballs and sitting on the beach of Polynesian, that sounds like a dream. Yeah.
What is your favorite snack, and why is it the croquet glacé? Because that's in Epcot. Actually, Steve, why don't you say that with your French accent?
Oh, croquet glacé.
That was brave to say it. I just say, the croque ice cream thing. That's what we're talking about, right? I think that's really good. The one that. Okay, if we're talking desserts, because you open that up.
No, it could be anything. I was just joking because it was Epcot.
Yeah. Mike chose the fish and chips when we asked him.
The one that surprised me one day, because I hadn't heard about it and I ordered it randomly on my own. But in Animal Kingdom, there's, where is it? In Africa, it's a place where you can get Dole Whip. I'm blanking on the name of it. But you can get a pineapple... It's some sort of like pineapple cake with vanilla ice cream. You know what I'm talking about?
Tamu?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's Tamu. Yeah, that sounds right. That dessert was so good, surprisingly good the first time I got it. Now I get a little excited every time we're walking in the area and I'm near it. It's like I can almost feel it. I'm like, I better go order one of those. It's really good.
That's awesome.
I could tell you the name of it.
Yeah, I can picture it though. The pineapple cake on it. Yeah. Oh, great.
It's like warm with that vanilla ice cream, and someone wrote to me because I mentioned that before, and they're like, you can order it with Dole Whip if you want, which I'm sure would be good too. But I just really love the creamy vanilla ice cream with it. Highly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't really like the Mickey pretzels. I'll be honest.
Wow.
Not a fan.
Hot take.
I don't know what you guys think.
I think they're like normal pretzels, but you're at Disney World, so they taste better, but I don't think they're anything that special. Sometimes they're kind of stale, but you got to have one. That's my take on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't take it away.
I don't. What I have to have is a Wetzel pretzel when I'm at Disney Springs. I like those much better.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just throwing opinions around here.
Yeah, I feel like a good Auntie Anne's is like just as good as a Mickey pretzel. I don't know.
I think Auntie Anne's is better than Mickey pretzel.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yep. Getting it out there.
I put Wetzel just a little bit above Auntie Anne's.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to check that out. That's great. All right. We got two more here, Ben. So underrated attraction or experience at Walt Disney World.
You guys just posted something about this recently. Didn't one of you say People Mover? I feel like I remember something about that.
Half the guests have said People Mover. But
I said, but it's apparently it's overrated at this point.
We talk about it all the time because I love it. Underrated outside of that. Let's see. How much dead air time can we have here?
Oh, yeah.
So I can think about this.
I edit these because we're not as smooth as the Dapper Dad. So I have to.
You gotta leave all the dead air in and everything. That's the way to do it. Okay. How about this one? I don't even like this ride. Tomorrowland Speedway.
Oh, okay.
But I'd say it's a little underrated because if you like the vibe of Tomorrowland, especially at night, you get some nice views of Tomorrowland. You're just kind of in there. You can see Tron and Space Mountain, and it can be kind of fun. I wouldn't wait for it, but if there's like a 5-minute wait or less, and you're just kind of strolling around, and it's kind of like a similar vibe to People Mover, where you're like, I just want to kind of be in the park right now and kind of just mosey around. You can do that on Tomorrowland Speedway.
You sold me on that. That
smells
good.
A little bit, but
Hey,
it gets you just some different views of Tomorrowland you wouldn't otherwise get.
It's classic.
it's classic. Yeah. I think it gets too much hate for sure. That's a great pick. Yeah.
The last question here is, have you ever had a magical moment or a pixie dust moment? Have you ever been pixie dusted? And if multiple times, just your favorite.
Pixie dusted by a cast member.
Yeah, if you have a good story, and I know you've had some experiences, that you've shared on the podcast, but
Yeah, recently too.
yeah,
I don't know if you guys listened to my
shout out to Liz, was it?
Yes, Liz Fernandez. Thank you, Liz. I'll just keep mentioning you in every possible way I can.
Shout out to Liz.
Yeah, that was like a pixie dust while we were in just a dark valley. All of a sudden, there's just this magical Liz pixie dust coming in. I'm trying to think of another one like in the parks recently. One that I've referred to a lot. It's kind of like my classic magic moment. It's not necessarily pixie dust from a cast member, but when I took my daughter, this was years ago now, when she was in kindergarten, and we were staying at Caribbean Beach, and it was the first time I'd done a solo trip with one of my kids, one-on-one. So yeah, she was in kindergarten. We fly in. We got in kind of late. Got a little food at the lobby, and then we're walking back to our room. It's dark, and you can see the fireworks starting to light up over at Epcot from there. So we just kind of lay down on a hammock, and the weather's nice. Fireworks are going off, and Lily goes, "This is the life." And right there, the trip had paid for itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we had only been in Orlando for like 3 hours, but I was like, yes. Not to say it was perfect, but yeah.
I remember you talking about that on the Disney World is Awesome podcast. It sticks out in my mind that your trip recap with the first one with your daughter, like your first solo trip with her, and I turned around and booked a one-on-one trip with my daughter who was now in first grade. It didn't end up working out, but I was like, I got to do it. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny how much I've hemmed and hawed over whether or not to do different trips over the years. But TJ and I talk about this a lot, which is how many times have we come back and said, I wish I could get my money back. I wish I hadn't done that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But also before the trip, I'll sit there and just like question it. And, it's a reality, right? It's a financial commitment. So you got to make good decisions for your family. But if you can afford to go, and like if you're on the fence, like in my experience, I've never gotten to the end of a trip and been like, shouldn't have done that.
No, 100%. Yeah. That's why I always say, this is how I spend my money. This is
yeah. This is the cabin, or this is the whatever.
Yes.
For people.
Exactly.
That's what we say. Where are you guys from? I don't even know.
We're from New England.
Okay.
So we got 2 Massachusetts, and Steve's from Rhode Island, where I'm originally from too. But,
okay. So do people buy cabins there?
Yeah, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
Would you say?
Cape House, which is
Cape
like
House.
the
Yeah.
equivalent to a cabin. Yeah. Yeah.
Cape Cod. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people in Minnesota have cabins up north, and so we always say this is our cabin.
Yeah.
We're not spending money on the cabin. We're spending it on going to Florida in January through March.
That's right.
Love that philosophy. That's the right way to think about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So now anyone who didn't know kind of where you stood with Disney World, we have a good sense of you now. So thank you. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
But we wanted to dive in, and I think what we wanted to do is for Ben, you and me, as both Disney guys through and through, but also Universal guys, to try to sell Universal a little bit to Steve and Mike, who we talked a little in the beginning there. Mike's a little bit interested. Steve, I don't know. He's tough. He's tough to, he's got a hard exterior. We got to really pierce that. But there are some things I think that Universal does. I don't want to say better than Disney, but that are different from Disney that I think might be appealing to these guys. And so I thought maybe if we started talking about some of those things and just kind of getting their reactions to, how does that make them feel about Universal? Mm-hmm. But before I wanted to get that, I wanted to pose a couple of our lightning lane questions about Universal. We don't have to go through the whole list, but just a couple of questions just to get us warmed up a little bit. So for you, Ben, if you had to pick one, what's your favorite ride at Universal?
Recently, it actually has become the Velocicoaster, which is funny because I think the first time I rode it, I was like, that was fun, but I'm not sure if I'm feeling normal right now after getting off of it. And I wasn't sure if I loved it. And then there was another time my brother-in-law was riding with me, and we asked to sit in the front. They have a separate line for that. And we got in the front. And in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to pretend, especially in the front, like I'm flying and I'm in control.
Yeah.
You know? And it took off, and I felt like Superman. And I was like, this is the coolest feeling ever, because you're just doing these crazy fun, and it's so smooth, like Cosmic and other more modern roller coasters. It's just a smooth ride, fast, powerful, and fun. And it's the craziest feeling too, because it doesn't have the over the shoulder restraints. You know, it's just a lap bar, and you're dangling by your knees sometimes, and it's like, how is this allowed? But yeah, I don't know, that ride has become very, very fun for me. But it'd also be tough not to say Haggard's Motorbike's just so fun too.
Yeah, amazing. Now, have you been to Epic, Ben?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right. Outside of Epic, those were my two favorites as well, I would say. Yeah, on Velocicoaster, the way I put it is like your butt is off the seat for more than it's on, I think, on Velocicoaster. It is like something else.
I'm shocked to hear that smooth. It looks so intense. I wouldn't expect that.
It can whip you around a little bit, but it's not like it's shaking and jarring you. It's kind of like, it's maybe not quite as smooth as like Cosmic, but it definitely feels like a newer coaster. Not like a rickety old thing like some of them are.
Right. Yeah, it's not like Space Mountain. I love Space Mountain, but it doesn't have that herky-jerky, aspect to it for sure. All right. And then I know you've stayed at Universal. Is that right?
Yep.
And what's been your favorite hotel to stay at Universal?
So I've stayed at Portofino Bay, stayed at Hard Rock, and then my wife and daughter just stayed at, is it the Pacific?
The Royal Pacific, yeah.
Royal Pacific, yeah, which is kind of their Polynesian their version of the Polynesian. There's like 2 Polynesian themed resorts, I think, in Florida, and one's at Disney, one's at Universal. I went to Portofino Bay with my wife. It was just the two of us, and that's a very fun place to stay with like a spouse. It's like we walked in, and there's like a live opera guy singing like Phantom of the Opera, and we're eating pizza. And I don't know, it's just, it's a great vibe. I didn't love Hard Rock quite as much when we stayed there. It was okay. I mean, it's a nice hotel, but like the theme doesn't speak to me. I think I would probably prefer the Royal Pacific if I had stayed there, but I haven't. So I'd probably have to go Portofino. The only downside is a little bit longer walk than Hard Rock, but the theming's awesome. It's a great resort.
Do you still get the bubble feel on the Universal resorts that you get on the Disney side, or is it a little bit different?
I would say in my experience, you do. I haven't been since they've opened Epic, that changes it a little bit, but I'd say almost more so if you're staying at Portofino or Hard Rock or the Pacific, where you're literally just walking distance from both parks. You don't have to wait for a bus or a monorail or a boat. You could wait for a boat if you wanted to, but you can walk. And so it's like, man, we're here. You don't need anything. And then to get between the resorts, again, you just walk around or take the Hogwarts Express. So that was one of the huge pros, I would say, is, Disney has its own sort of bubble. Like there's probably some ways that Universal falls short in that area, but just the distance to everything was such an advantage. It's like having Magic Kingdom and Epcot right next to each other, and you're staying there, and good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Epic is just down the street, and so that does break the bubble a little bit to go there, but once you're in Epic, that's its own bubble. That's just insane.
Yeah, I would love to stay at one of the hotels there.
Yeah, I stayed at the Terra Luna, which is the one that's farthest from Epic of the 3, but I'd love to, which was great, but I'd love to stay at the Helios, which is like inside Epic. That seems unbelievable. All right. So so that was one thing that we were going to start selling. So Steve, Mike, the bubble aspect, does that do anything for you walking to the parks? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I've always been like on the Epcot resort side, so like walking or Skyliner has not been terrible. But yeah, I mean that is pretty cool. It's a unique aspect. So it almost feels kind of like Disneyland, where like you're like on top of the park if you're staying at the Disneyland resort, right? So yeah, I mean that definitely makes it interesting.
No, I was gonna say the same thing. That it sounds like Disneyland and California Adventure. Yeah, that's enticing.
Yeah, I'd say it's a fantastic aspect of it for sure. And Ben, you talked about some of the hotels that have a perk that I can tease, but you can talk about it, which is I wish Disney did this tomorrow, this perk, which is if you stay at one of the 3 hotels, and Ben named them, you get Express Pass Unlimited included. And Ben, do you want to talk about Express Pass?
Yes. I mean, I've never not stayed at a Premier Resort because of the Express Pass. You know, if you do the math, usually it's cheaper to just stay at the Premier Resort and get the Express Pass that way than paying for it outright. But the Express Pass Unlimited that you get while staying at a Premier Resort allows you to get on, I think, any ride now except for Velocicoaster. I think they added Hagrid's.
Velocicoaster's included now.
Oh, so every ride?
I think it's every ride, and
pretty much any ride you'd want to go on.
Yeah.
You can show up anytime. There's no scheduling. There's no planning. You just walk up to the ride, scan it, and you skip the line. And I mean, similar to Lightning Lane, you might have instances where you're waiting 5 or 10 minutes, but generally you're saving a ton of time. And the magic in that is just like, I don't have to look at my phone. I don't have to plan anything. There's no like schedule or, you know, Lightning Lanes are what they are, but there's no like trying to beat the system and trying to get, it's just like, just go to the ride and skip the line. Don't think about it. You wake up in the morning and say, where do we want to go today? And you can do whatever you want. And so really appreciate that about the way Universal's set up. And you also don't get the nickel and diming feeling you can get too from Lightning Lanes, which is just like, I couldn't believe it when I did the math on the last trip because I was booking them for my extended family too. So there's 8 of us. And I'm like, did I just spend $1,200 to skip lines at Disney World? I think I did.
Yikes.
Especially because they do the individual Lightning Lanes and so it just gets so nickel and dimey. Again, I love Disney World, but man, that's an advantage at Universal for sure.
Not only that, you're spending the money, but and you said it perfectly, Ben. It's the point of you don't have to plan. Like if you're there and you see the ride and you want to go on it, you can just go. It's not, I paid this money for the Lightning Lane and now I have to go from Remy's all the way to Spaceship Earth because that's what my Lightning Lanes are. So that aspect of just taking that away there's something really
and then your kid
about
says,
that.
Dad, can we ride that again? And you say, yes, we can ride that again. And we can skip the line again.
Yeah, so I want to emphasize that Express Unlimited is a better benefit than the Premier Pass at Disney World. The Premier Pass allows you to use the Lightning Lane one time for each ride that accepts Lightning Lane at one park. The Express Unlimited Pass at Universal lets you go to 2 parks and do any ride as many times as you want. So, and that comes with staying at one of these 3 hotels. So, I don't know. What does that do for you, Mike and Steve?
That's interesting. Although I haven't really experienced like the let's go on that again right now feeling, but my older kids are probably going to do that on our upcoming trip. I wouldn't be surprised if we get off like Tron and they're like, can we go again? But yeah, no, that's really cool. And especially having it be built into the resort package. Steve, like you said, Disney's got to get on that, figure that out. We need to get Josh on the horn here and right. Get these packages updated.
Josh, if you're listening, call in.
I'm curious, I know you said you didn't stay at the lower tier resorts. Do you think the extra cost would be worth it if you didn't get that at the higher resorts? 'Cause I know with Disney, the deluxe resorts, I feel like it's mainly proximity you're paying for because they're not as high tier as a actual 5-star resort around the world. Curious about that, how those stack up.
I think it's similar to comparing Disney resorts to each other, where all of the resorts are nice. I don't think you're going to stay at one of the more affordable ones at Universal and be like, ugh, this is gross. Because I've got friends who've gone down there and stayed at some of those, and they really like them a lot. You are getting a location or proximity benefit a little bit with the premier resorts. They're walking distance, whereas some of the other ones you might need to take a boat. I don't know if they do busing too. I haven't done it myself.
Some of them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you get that benefit. But I think it's similar in that way where it's going to be a little bit individualized, where you look at the Grand Floridian, and especially depending on the time of year you're going, you're going to be like, $800? Like, it's a nice resort, but is it that nice? You'll have the same experience at Universal Studios where it's going to be a fantastic experience, but is it worth it? Maybe, just kind of depends on what you're looking for out of your resort. We've usually found a way to do it. We'll even go so far as to, like when we traveled with my sister and her husband, they're 4 adults, we're just cramming in. The 4 of us are staying in one room at Hard Rock because we want to get these express passes. And then Nicole, my wife, figured out when she took my daughter, this is another benefit of Universal, is they have a lot more options for annual passes if you're out of state. So Disney has one option. It's their most expensive. It's the Incredipass. It's like $1,500. Universal, they've got several options. And so my wife actually figured out, like, if we get this annual pass to Universal, which costs maybe like $500 to $600, you can get some pretty heavy discounts, like 30 or 40% off on some of these premier hotels. So even just in one trip, she figured out it's cheaper for me to get an annual pass, get the discount on the premier hotel, get all the express passes, and not have to pay for tickets for myself, than to like just do it all a la carte. So worth looking into.
For sure.
People are planning a trip to Universal. Might be cheaper to get an annual pass.
Wild. Yeah. All right. Ben, any, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but any other ideas for things to sell to these guys? I think they're softening a little bit.
That's good. We're winning. Well, you had a great list, so I know you've got a few more to talk about. I wanted to bring up the annual passes as another pro. Yeah, no, I've got a couple cons, but I can save those if we're going to go through pros first.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let me hit them with this one. So you talked about this, Ben. There are just more intense rides, roller coasters, etc. at Universal than there are at Disney. So I'd say the most intense roller coasters at Disney World, I would say, are probably Rock and Roller Coaster and Cosmic Rewind. Maybe Everest could sneak in there. But we talked about Velocicoaster. Like there's one roller coaster at Disney that goes upside down, right? Rock and Roller Coaster. At Universal, there's Velocicoaster, which is like on many people, roller coaster aficionados, a top 5, whatever, roller coaster in the world. There's Stardust Racers, which the new one at Epic Universe, which was my favorite ride when I went this last time. It was just unbelievable. And there's the Hulk roller coaster that goes upside down. There's Hagrid's, which I wouldn't say is more intense, but Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, which is incredible as well. There's also intense rides. I don't know, Ben, if you've been on the Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey ride. I see that as more intense than, in a different way, than Disney rides. So I think with Disney, everything they do, there's a level of like warmth, which I love. I'm a Disney guy. It's something I really seek out. But Universal kind of is a little more edgy in that way with its intensity. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I agree completely. And that's where, if you're a parent and you've got kids, there might be a season of time where Disney's just the right option. And there might be a season of time where Universal's the right option. And like, as my kids are getting older, I'm like, okay, they're going to start enjoying Universal more, I think, as they're looking for, especially if they've been to Disney a few times. Now we're going to go to this other place that is also done with excellence, and it has even more just variety of rides and intensity and interesting things that they haven't experienced. It just becomes a kind of a no-brainer at a point, I think, to bring your kids there if that's what you enjoy doing as a family. I'll tell my friends who aren't as excited about Universal Studios, I'll be like, especially, again, if you've been to Disney several times, it's like, imagine if Disney had like 3 parks that you'd never been to. Right. And you love Disney World, but there's these parks over here that you'd never, it's like, no, I like Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Like, I don't, why would I want to go over? Well, a lot of what you love about Disney, you're gonna love about Universal too. It's very similar. It's not all the same. There's gonna be things that you maybe like or dislike about Universal compared to Disney, but it's the same genre. So there's gonna be things you love about it.
Absolutely, it's different flavors of the same thing, right? Different flavors of ice cream, right? For sure. That's a great point. Yeah. All right, Steve, Mike, what does that do for you? Anything you intense ride guys?
I could give or take the intense rides. I mean, I enjoy it, but I've got kids of all different ages, so it's like hard for us to split really, unless we're with like grandparents and other family members. So that, like you said, Ben, like there's a season for it, and when I've got a couple of young kids, so like Disney is the season. But my older kids are definitely at that age where like they would love all the fast roller coasters and especially the Harry Potter stuff because they're huge into that. So I could see us doing like a split where, one of the parents keeps the kids at Disney World for the day, and then, one of us takes the older kids to Universal just to check out some of that stuff like that. That would be an interesting way for us to attack it.
No, I'm into intense rides too. My favorite ride is Tower of Terror. So I'm definitely open to that. And when I go to Six Flags, I do like the more intense ones. So there could be a little more of that in Disney. So it's nice to get a touch of that there. Surprised, Ben, I know your daughter isn't so keen on the intense ride, so you might have a little bit of time until she goes over there, right?
Yeah. My oldest really likes roller coasters, but she's got a limit. She doesn't like to go upside down. She doesn't like big drops. And then my youngest is like, no, thank you to all of the above. Although I will say she's starting to turn the corner a little bit. I was coming in hot tonight because we were at the Mall of America for a couple of days for kind of like a spring break getaway. And she got on a roller coaster there, the Pepsi roller coaster. And she rode it 7 times.
Wow.
And it's not intense, but it's a grown up roller coaster. It's not like a kiddie one. So she might come around here. And she rode Test Track on the last trip, and we kept like talking up how like you just rode the fastest ride at Disney World. It's faster than Cosmic and Tron and all those. So like she was like pretty proud.
I got one more positive that I think might sway these guys. There's a few others, but I got one more I think I want to hit, which is this is something that Disney's leaned into over the last, say, 15, 20 years, and something that I think Universal does just as well is leveraging their intellectual property, which is a very boring way of saying they have Nintendo, they have How to Train Your Dragon, they have DreamWorks, for the Shrek and Trolls and all those fans out there. Obviously, the big one, they have Harry Potter, right? There's Harry Potter lands in all 3 parks and many Harry Potter rides and very immersive experiences with Harry Potter. So I think Universal, if you're a fan of those things, Jurassic Park is another one. I know, Steve, you mentioned that Universal like goes to the next level. Now, Disney has done that with places like Galaxy's Edge, with Pandora, and many other examples, obviously. But I think Universal is right there. Like, I think the Diagon Alley in Universal Studios Florida, the Harry Potter area in that park, is, I think, toe-to-toe with Galaxy's Edge in terms of the immersiveness in my mind. So that's one I would say. Ben, any thoughts on leveraging IP?
Yeah, I agree completely. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you run out of excuses really fast not to go at some point. Because it's just like, how could you not? It's done so well there. And we enjoy those stories in our house. So it becomes a no-brainer for us. Now, if someone's like, I don't really care for Harry Potter, it becomes more of a thing of like, well, for me, I love Flight of Passage. It's not necessarily because I love the Avatar movies so much, but it's because they created such an amazing experience in that world. And so you can argue the point a little bit more if you're like not a Harry Potter fan. It's like it does lessen, the urgency I would probably have for you to go see it. But that doesn't mean you wouldn't enjoy it in the same way that you enjoy a lot of the experiences at Disney World. It's not always about the intellectual property, but if you enjoy the intellectual property they have, it definitely gives it an edge.
Absolutely. All right. Any of that? So, Steve, I know you mentioned you're a big Jurassic Park person.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say big, but
Oh,
that is what I would want to see the most at Universal. Do they have Dr. Seuss? Am I making that up?
They do. Yep.
Yeah, my wife's a teacher. She's big into Dr. Seuss, so I guess I could sell her on that too. And The Simpsons, is that like carnival type there, kind of like Dino Land was?
Kind of. Yeah, it's smaller than Dino Land, that area. There's like a spinner. There's the Simpsons ride, which is a simulator ride, which I really liked. But I liked the Simpsons Land. They had like they have Moe's, right? They have the Quickie Mart. I like the Simpsons. It's not, I'm not a huge fan of them. I do like it, but I thought the Simpsons Land was cool too. Yeah.
My favorite part of it, well, just seeing the Moe's bar is cool. But then just getting a giant pink donut is like so good. They're like really good. I don't know why. It's just like donut, pink frosting, sprinkles, and it's just fabulous.
Yes. The lard boy donut, right? Yes.
Food's another thing at Universal that it's just, if you like food, you're experiencing new things there. Just like, big pink donut, or like, I really like they have like a crepe stand. I don't remember what it's called, but they have like some different savory and sweet crepes that they kind of wrap up so you can eat. And yeah, I don't know. There's just Mythos is fantastic, and then they've got City Walk where you just get all these different options. So that's another thing that my wife and I love doing, is just trying foods and dining out. And so again, you've got all these places that are just right in front of you when you're there within walking distance. So it's just another world to kind of open up if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, and that Mythos you mentioned, Ben, there's signs all over that place. It's the Restaurant in Islands of Adventure, and it's been voted the best theme park restaurant in the world. I mean, I didn't eat there. I wish I had, but you know that when you walk by. And apparently, have you eaten there, Ben?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Would you say it's the best theme park restaurant in the world?
I don't know if I would just say that on my own, but it was very good.
Yeah.
It was, enough that, we've gone a couple of times. So it's enjoyable, and it's got a really cool interior. Yeah, it's a fun stop.
Yeah. So where are you guys at? Questions? What are you guys thinking? Mike, I know you're a big food guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a big food guy. I get like lost in my favorites though. I feel like with like, especially with Disney, like we'll kind of hit the same spots. So that's a little bit of a flaw in my food guy, cap that I like to wear. But yeah, I'm always interested. I think you mentioned it earlier, but like the draw for me is going to be Harry Potter. Like that's going to get me into the parks and since they have something in each park. Like now I want to go to all of them just because I want to see each little, unique thing that they have.
Yeah, that's what got us there originally too, was the Harry Potter. And then we just kind of started falling in love with everything else too over time.
Yeah.
They're smart. Awesome. They know what they're doing.
That's right.
Pulling us in.
And I think I didn't go on the Flight of the Hippogriff ride, but I think every Harry Potter ride is like amazing. I really like, they've just, not only the immersiveness of the lands, but the rides themselves, the experiences are just top notch. So
yeah, when it comes to immersiveness, I just don't know if you can beat Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade even. It's just like walking in, it's just, you're in another world. It's amazing.
It really is. I was blown away walking especially Diagon Alley. I thought Hogsmeade too, but yeah, I was just, it felt like walking into Galaxy's Edge. Like to me, it was like, whoa, this is actually, a completely different world.
One of my favorite memories was when it was just my wife and me. We were celebrating an anniversary, and we were down there, and we had gotten these light up wands. They're like motion activated. And we really liked staying in the Harry Potter areas until we essentially got kicked out, which is pretty late. And so, they've got the interactive wand spots everywhere. So we slipped into the Hog's Head right before they closed. Like we slipped in the door as they're about to lock it, ordered a couple of butterbeers, and we were sitting there, and we're the only ones there, besides, I think there's maybe one other couple and like the people working there who are kind of cleaning up. But because of that, it was so quiet in there, but they have all these sound effects, and you can hear witches and wizards like walking around upstairs, like above you, like they're staying in rooms, and you just hear all the noises of the Hog's Head and 3 Broomsticks. and we're sitting there with our butter beers, and we've got the map of the sites open on the table in front of us, and we're using our wands to look at it. Because you can still interact with all those sites after the park is closed. You just can't get on any rides. So we're like drinking our butter beer, we've got the place to ourselves, and it truly just felt like we were in the world. You know, it didn't feel like a touristy spot anymore because it was late and most everyone had left. And it's like, this is like we're just out late in Hogsmeade, you know, drinking butter beer and casting spells with our wands. And I was like, this is the moment I just want to come back to, you know, like at times it was so fun.
You try to do real spells. You're like, wait a minute, am I actually a wizard? Like, let me try
this is working. This is working. Hand me that broom.
Yeah, right. All right, awesome. So I think we hit you with a lot of pros. I think we, you know, made the case. But Ben, you mentioned, I have a few as well, but some cons, some things where maybe Universal falls a little bit short of Disney in the eyes of Disney people.
Yeah, we can be realists here. You know, Disney has its pros and cons. Universal has its pros and cons. I'd say the first one, this is going to be related somewhat to something you were going to say, Steve. But there's just kind of a lack of cohesiveness. At least I haven't been there in a couple of years now. But I remember just feeling like a lot of the restaurants are kind of like their own thing. You may or may not be able to get very much information about them in the app, or you may or may not be able to get reservations through the app. I think they've been starting to try to lean into that a little bit. But I remember a few years ago when I was there, it was like, yeah, this is like, it's separated. So you can see the restaurants, but you can't book reservations. Similarly with the resorts or the hotels, they're kind of owned by different, you know, places. And so they're sort of connected to the parks, but they're also kind of operated differently, which causes this awkward thing when you get there. You need to like print out tickets at like a separate area at the resort, and it's like not all digital. It's like, what is all this? You know, like it's so confusing if you haven't done it before. And even if you have, it's still confusing. I'm like, wait, I need to print something out at the hotel. After I check into the hotel, I got to go to this other area. And so, yeah, Disney's created such a cohesive, and that's where the bubble is stronger at Disney. I just love being able to like open up my phone. Where do we want to order food from? It's all here. Mobile order, boom, let's go pick it up. Everything is, for the most part, is operated and run by Disney, or it's at least very tied in to the app and the overall experience. So that's where you just start feeling that disconnect a little bit with Universal. What's been your experience with that, Steve?
Yeah, no, I totally agree that is one area where there's no magic band. Right? And I wouldn't necessarily say that technology is like a super strength of Disney, actually, but I do think they're ahead of Universal in that seamlessness of the guest experience and just everything you said, Ben. Like, an example is like the express passes that I had. So you go to the counter that's not the check-in counter to get your paper express pass. And then what they've started now, and I don't know, it might have been in place a couple years ago, maybe not, but they take your picture when you come in the park. And if you have an express pass, there's facial recognition at all the express. Did you experience that, Ben?
No.
Okay. So this might be within the last couple of years they've done this. So you go up and they recognize your face. Well, it worked maybe once. The whole time I was in, I had to pull out, I had like my lanyard with my card in it, and I had to pull out the card and like them scan it, you know, which was fine. But it's like at Disney, that's one of the best things at Disney, right? To just hear that sound of the magic band, right? So I think that, and a lot of what you're speaking to, Ben, like not everything is in one place. This came up, I talked about this on a previous episode where I have a nut allergy, and it's very hard to tell what has nuts on the menus. It's like you kind of couldn't find it because the menu's in a few different places and it's not really listed in any of them. And I was kind of like, and their system there just isn't great. So it's like examples like that where like if everything was just all in one place like it is at Disney, it would kind of be better. So yeah, that's one downside, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say another is lack of cast members. Disney does such good training with their cast members, and I think Universal does a pretty good job too. And I feel like every trip I've got at least one grumpy cast member that I've dealt with in some way. And so it's not that Disney doesn't have that, but overall, I'd say on average, like their train's very high. Cast members are very engaged and are there to make your life better. I'd say Universal is comparable, but not quite as good as, like, I'd say it's more common to find a Universal Studios employee that's maybe out of character or just not quite as feeling like sprinkling you with magic that day or whatever it is. But cast members are a real strength of Disney. So sometimes I miss them at Universal. I
agree with that. And I'd say Disney, though they're not perfect, as you said, Ben, is kind of like exceptional, and Universal is like good. That's kind of how I put it. Yeah. One other thing I would say just quickly is that the bubble aspect. One part of that is that it's very rare to see backstage areas, at Disney. In fact, when you are shown backstage areas, it's kind of like a treat, like, oh, you're shuttled through this place that you're not supposed to see. But there are backstage areas like you can see from rides, like you can see a dumpster or whatever, back behind the fence or whatever. And it's not a ton, but at Disney that it's like none, almost none. And at Universal there's a little bit of that. It doesn't take too much away from the experience, I would say, but it is just a difference, I would say, that Disney's kind of the next level with that. Yeah.
Disney has something, I forget what they call it, but there's like a paint color where they like paint stuff off to the side that your like brain ignores. There's
really?
like a name for it. Yeah, it's like a green color that if you notice, like all the walls on the side are painted this like off green, and they call it something like you ignore it, your brain ignores it, so like it's part of like tricking you into not seeing the backstage areas. I'll have to find it. I forget
Cosmic Rewind, for example, is that like sky blue color, so you can clearly see the building, but you're just not, your eye isn't drawn to it.
Interesting. I never heard about that.
Disney, they're just masters.
Yeah.
Because I've seen videos where people are like, oh, if you're in Epcot, you can see Tower of Terror from this location, but it blends in perfectly with the Morocco buildings. So you don't even unless you know it's there, you would not know. But it's clearly there once you see it.
So funny.
Yeah. Really,
how could they have thought of that? You know what I mean? Like that's
masters of illusions.
Absolutely.
Then you realize really the entire park is just the Haunted Mansion. There's just illusions everywhere, right. And they're tricking you, and it's all a ghost story.
It's called Go Away Green.
Go Away Green. I think that does sound familiar. That's funny. I'm colorblind anyway, so I don't know. All this consternation about them painting the castle. I'm like, paint it whatever you want. But anyway.
Still looks like a castle to me.
Yeah, I can still tell, it's there. That's all I care about. Ben, any other downsides or things to mention?
I'd say the one that I feel every time I go, I think Universal's got their snack prices jacked up a little bit more than Disney does. Disney can get you on the sit-down dining in a way that's really starting to bother me. As my kids get older, but Universal like snack, just butterbeer, for crying out loud. What's it now? Like $9 for a glass of butterbeer, and I've got to have at least 5 of them on a trip. But it's the amount of money we spend on butterbeer. So like, as much as I harp on Disney for nickel and diming lightning lanes, goodness gracious, like the butterbeer's got so expensive. And then there's just been other times where I'm like, I'm just going to get like a hot dog or some chips or something. And I'm like, wait, what? Like,
I know,
$17 for that. Whereas I feel like the Disney quick serve, I actually feel like is worth it. Like it's reasonably priced. It's, for as much of a reputation as it has for like everything at Disney's expensive. I'm like, for just quick serve food, it's not bad at all. Universal gets you a little bit on those easier to grab like food and snacks.
Yeah, I know. I got a $13 pretzel on my last trip. I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, I think the only last thing I would say is, and I talked about this a lot on a previous episode, but the ride vehicle size. I think for anybody who's plus size, and we're the great big beautiful dads, as we call ourselves, and I, I'm a big guy, did fit fairly easily on every ride, although a couple were kind of close at Epic. But if you're much bigger than me, then you're going to have a hard time. And honestly on like many, if not most of the rides. And so that's something where I think Disney excels, where there are very few rides that is an issue, I think, for anybody. And so just something that for anyone out there thinking about it, if that's a concern, just to keep in mind that some of these, and like I'm about 6'4", I would say if I was like 2 inches taller, 3 inches taller, even that I think would be tough on a lot of the rides. So
I'll bet you're not allowed to sit in the sidecar on
no,
Hagrid's.
I'm not. No, that's right. I was a motorbike guy.
Yeah, he's 6'4", and he was not allowed. He's like, you're on the motorcycle, buddy, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I sat next to a stranger, it was like somebody's grandpa who got stuck with me because I had to be on the motorbike, which was fine. I liked being on the motorbike, but yeah, no, I probably couldn't fit in the sidecar.
It's the prime seat, but you kind of feel bad sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the last thing I wanted to say about a negative, but thank you. I want to throw it to Mike and Steve. I don't know how much we moved you guys. You guys are a little bit stone-faced here. I feel like...
No, I told you, Steve, I've been open to it, on our last conversation for a while. It's just a matter of, carving out the time. Because every time we go to book a trip, I'm like, you know what? Let's just do 5-6 days at Disney. And then by then it's like, all right, that's the trip. So, but there's a lot there, obviously, that I want to check out and see. So it'll happen. It'll happen in the near future. I think I'll have to call my travel agent, Steve, at Just That Magic Travel. And see what we can do.
I get pretty stone-faced, too, when people try to get me to go to SeaWorld.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, tell me all about it while I'm booking my Disney trip.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can skip SeaWorld. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I'm open to it now hearing more. The annual pass is enticing. Ben, you're saying that. What are your thoughts about staying on Disney property and going? Would that be a good way to ease into it, or should you just stay at Universal and go to Universal?
If you ended up getting an annual pass, that would make it a lot easier. I have a hard time recommending it because just like Disney, a one-day ticket to Disney or Universal is just a hard thing to swallow. That's the most expensive way to do it. So it'd be nice if you could do maybe you do a few nights at one and then you do a few nights at the other or something like that, because then it just helps bring the cost per day down a little bit. And it also maybe gives you the opportunity to stay at a premier resort and get the express pass. But I'd say if it's between going for a day and not going at all, going for a day while staying at Disney is a great option. That was my first experience with it, and I absolutely loved it. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and what I would say is, to talk about that express pass benefit of the signature hotels is that it's good for the day you check in to the day you check out. So if you stay even for one night, you get it for 2 whole days. Like you can go in 7 in the morning and get that express pass at the hotel. And if you stay for 2 nights, you have it for 3 days. And so, yeah, staying at Disney for part of it, going even for 1 or 2 nights at the Universal Hotel is a good way to do it. But yeah, dipping your toe in while staying at Disney, they're very close to each other. I mean, that is a good way to, if you're curious about it, to just kind of dip your toe in. So, yeah.
And they can drop you off right there at City Walk. It's not like you're going to Magic Kingdom and they drop you off at the TTC and you're like, where the heck am I? Where did you leave me?
I talk about how much I hate that on probably every episode of this podcast. So I'm so glad you brought it up, Ben, so I didn't have to. Yeah. Traumatized me.
And I'll forget. And I'll be like, let's Uber to Magic Kingdom. That'll be convenient. Nope. Terrible idea. It's like, how can I start remembering that they do this? I think it's in my head now in a way that I won't forget.
Yeah, I have nightmares about that experience, so I'll never forget. Wake up in a cold sweat.
You feel so smart and then so dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we could just Uber or take a Lyft. This would be great. We'll just zip right in. There's no
You see
way
the bus going
in.
by you.
Yeah. I know. It's like, oh my gosh, I should have waited in line for the bus.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Universal, you just said City Walk and boom, you're right there at 2 parks. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other thoughts on Universal, guys? Any other things that we can say to put you in a Universal trip today?
I feel like you're closing with the hard sell here, Steve.
Yeah, I got to ABC.
This all just to get us to book a trip.
Yeah. Listen, business has been a little slow this month, so
He's got to hit his universal quota. That's why he has
No,
to podcast.
it's Girl Scout cookie season, so I've been telling my daughter, so I've been practicing my sales pitch with her. So I'm, that's what's on the mind. So, well, hearing none, thank you so much, Ben, for being here. It's so great to meet you, virtually, but to talk to you in person here. And like I said, we're big fans of Disney World is Awesome, and just so grateful that you took the time to do this. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's as much fun as they are. TJ, Matt, Landon. It's like so refreshing to all of a sudden have these conversations with other people as well. Because there's just good energy when you get to sit down and chat Disney with someone that you haven't even met before, but instantly there's just like, yeah, we're speaking each other's language. So super fun. Appreciate you having me on and giving me the opportunity to just chat up Universal a little bit, which is an opportunity I don't get very often, like I mentioned earlier. So appreciate you guys.
Of course. No, come back anytime. We do hope you'll come back. But yeah, so are you guys heading to Universal? Let's say yes or no. Thumbs up or thumbs down, and we can take it out.
Let's do it.
Mike's going.
You already have my credit card information for my Disney, so just be careful.
I have a book by tonight.
Make it a dad trip.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's a business expense for the podcast.
That's right.
That's right.